Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. I am playing Elite Dangerous and I am planning to do a surface recovery mission. We are heading to Loma B6e, which is the fifth moon around the planet Loma B6. We are going to attempt to do a salvage mission and we are getting closer to actually arriving at the planet. I'm currently flying a Zorgen Peterson Mendeley, which is a vehicle that specializes in planetary surface recovery operations, among other things. And we're going to see if we can salvage some containers from an Irregular Marker site, which is normally a site where some cargo has been left behind by some criminal element, and we're going to salvage these canisters legally. Now these sites are normally guarded by sentry droids, but we shall see what we can find on the planet once we get closer to the planet and we can detect, or the moon, sorry, and we can detect what is available for salvaging. Currently I'm flying using the frame shift drive, which allows faster than light travel, hence speed is measured in C, but as we can see we are slowing down since we're getting closer to a planet, or a moon, planetary body so to speak. And once we obviously get much closer we can see what the various sites on the moon are all about. We have a conflict site, or whether we have some minor wreckage or a crash site, or things that can be salvaged. Wait, gravity well to slow down or break direction of travel, to break this grip of the gravity well on my ship so that I don't crash into the planet. For some reason I have a very old song in my head. Fly me to the moon and let me reach among the stars. I know I've got the words wrong, but I just thought, it was amusing considering the circumstances. Alright, since we are close enough to the planet, let's have a look at what's available. Ooh. So we have some irregular markers. Let us go and see what we can salvage. Now, the landing site for this is on the other side of the planet, as indicated by the HUD marker. So we get to fly around the planet a little bit. You also see in the bottom left hand corner a distance to target marker or system that communicates how far you are from your target. The system works for targeting ships when you're fighting them in combat, or when you are trying to approach some planetary site that you want to explore. It also works for determining distance to planets that you may wish to survey for the exploration data. Right. So we are now closer to the side of the planet that the site is on. I'm just heading a little closer so I can drop closer to the target. There we go. Right. We've now engaged orbital flight and we're dropping down to the target zone. Trying to keep our orientation attitude as optimal as possible until we get to the drop point, which we are now 70 kilometers from, or less, as it's counting down quite quickly. And we can see our speed is reducing, so we drop the throttle to 0 so that we get to the right speed of gliding, because if you try to enter too fast, the ship will not glide. There we go. Now we've got glide engaged. Now we're close, drifting to the target at quite a speed, as you can see. And there we are in much more denser atmosphere, and we need to engage the throttle to actually get closer to the landing site. Right, you don't want to land on top of these directly because, as I said before, they may be guarded by some sentry droids. So what we do is we fly to a landing point relatively close, and what we then do is, instead of facing the site directly, in my case it's my preference to do so, you don't have to do this, it's to turn the ship around so that the surface recovery vehicle can exit the ship neatly, and you're actually facing the target zone that you wish to engage with. Right. Extending landing gear, making sure my throttle's down to 0 so that the auto landing process can take over. As we can see, it does sometimes shift you slightly off the target, not by a great amount. We're still within 237 meters of the target, which is great. And we are now deploying the surface vehicle. So this is a 6-wheel all-terrain vehicle, or 6-axle I should say, all-terrain vehicle, and it is armed with a plasma cannon. I prefer not to use the lights whenever possible. It's just, I find it visually distracting. And we are now heading towards the target zone once we've locked the destination, which is a little bit to our right. Now, over terrain like this, you don't want to be going too quickly, because otherwise in a low G environment such as this planet, it gets quite tricky to ensure that your vehicle stays upright on this terrain. Right, we will now engage the droids with the gun turret and firing.
Target destroyed. Target destroyed. Under attack. Target destroyed.
As you can see, if you don't engage the droids fast enough, they will turn around and start shooting at you. So let us go and see what we were able to salvage from the site. Now the vehicle can be driven either in vehicle mode, as I was doing earlier, or via the gun turret, as I'm doing now, because I find the gun turret is very useful to easier target certain things. What you lose in the process, however, if I switch back to vehicle mode, you will see that there's a radar on the bottom of the screen that nicely indicates where the objects are located, but since we're so close to the objects, I'm just going to use the gun turret to identify what I would like to capture. So now I'm deploying the cargo scoop in order to pick up the items that I target. Alright, superconductors, that is a very useful item to trade. So we'll collect that, thank you. Alright, then what is this next to us? Ooh, some mineral called taphite, which is quite valuable in this game. So we shall pick up some more of it, thank you. Alright, what else do we have? Okay, I'm not seeing any materials dropped by the droids on their destruction, which would have been nice. Ship upgrade materials. Our other currencies contain beryllium, another nice valuable mineral, some platinum, we have some gold. Right, now since our cargo container on this vehicle can only handle 4 containers, and I'm not planning to come back to this site again, I'm going to access my cargo inventory, and I'm going to abandon the superconductors. And we switch back to turret view, and we go and collect the beryllium because that's nice and valuable. Ah, there is the hidden material that is usually at the center of one of these sites. So we'll go up to the beryllium very slowly, collect it, and okay, I accidentally knocked that, I wasn't planning to. But it has moved it instead of destroying it. So sometimes when you get to these materials, you can destroy them accidentally by driving over them, as I have done in the past. Right, collecting the material first. There we go, and then we'll get back to the containers. Right, looking at the platinum. Come on. There we go. Backing up and picking up the gold. we go. There's a warning that the surface cargo vehicle has reached maximum cargo capacity. So we shall close the cargo scoop
Cargo scoop retracted.
and head back to vehicle mode and then review the inventory. As we can see, the beryllium, platinum, taphite and gold are worth a lot more than the superconductors, and we therefore have the optimal load from this salvage run. Now we shall be heading back to the ship. As we can see, it's marked on the radar. Not too quickly over this terrain, as we will be bouncing around rather heavily. Now the trespass zone we cleared is basically just the perimeter that the droids use to act within. This is my ship and I'm heading back towards it. As we can see, it's got some vertical takeoff and landing thrusters which make it very maneuverable in planetary atmosphere. And this concludes my cargo run. Once I've lined up the surface recovery vehicle with the ship, and you see the indicator at the bottom right, and we are in line with the ship. We then select boarding and we're taken back up into the ship where the cargo is shifted from the surface vehicle into the ship's cargo bay.
Thank you for watching.